Deep in the rolling hills of southeast Ohio lies the Appalachian coal fields of another era. Fading coal towns are known as the little cities of the Black Diamonds, a term coined by Ivan Tribe in his 1976 PhD dissertation, Little Cities of the Black Diamonds, Urban Development in the Hocking Coal Region. The work of John Windenberg, Cheryl Blosser, Rob Deshawn, and Ivan Tribe came together to save an all but forgotten history of Ohio's deep shaft mining. This story begins with the Knights of Labor, the grand old benevolent association led by Welsh miner and Pennsylvania labor organizer Christopher Evans. This secretive union did not believe in violence or strikes. They believed in negotiation between miners and operators.
The Knights of Labor and the trade union movement together. They had different beliefs, but he brought them together in the 1884-1885 strike. That really was nationally significant in terms of changing the course of labor here, and was really the seed that led to the formation of the United Mineworkers of America.
News magazines of the day captured the Ohio strike with dramatic woodcut images, which raised the consciousness of Americans and greatly added to the Miners' Relief Fund. Desperation led to the so-called firing or burning of 6 or 7 coal mines around New Straitsville, Ohio. Mine fires were set and spread to Shawnee, Ohio, and they still burn today some 135 years later.
The surveyors from the Ohio Land Company came up from the Ohio River and began mapping this Northwest Territory and the new state of Ohio. And as they came up the Hocking and laid out Athens, they headed north the next day, which happened to be a Sunday, and camped at a tributary into the Hocking that evening, and creatively decided to call it Sunday Creek. And because it was a tedious task of chains and links and poles, they only made it about 5 or 6 miles north the next day to the next tributary coming into the Hocking, and they camped there that night and called that tributary Monday Creek. They headed up Monday Creek, got caught in a snowstorm by modern-day Murray City, and decided to call the tributary going into Monday Creek there Snow Fork Junction. And the railroad became that name, and the town took that name, and the town took that name early on before it became Murray City as a coal town.
Some of the changes the miners got, in addition to working conditions and pay, were they fought very hard for the 40-hour work week, the 8-hour day. They fought for being paid in real money, not company scrip. All of those changes made life better across all the industries. And that's what they were fighting for.
Christopher Evans was the key labor leader in this story, and his meetings at Robinson's Cave proved pivotal in the labor history of the nation.
Elders in town always talked about the union meetings up on the hill at Robinson's Caves. And what's been passed down through both his writings and stories from the elders is that this was a great place to meet, to have secret meetings. It was close to town, but it had some protection from town. And members of the labor group could kind of control who came and went coming up this hollow. So only people who were invited got to come to the meetings, and had great acoustics. And Chris was, as we understand it, a very well organized, soft-spoken, deliberate gentleman who instilled confidence in the miners to take action.
They went from a time when you had to be top secret in a group. You couldn't even say that. Most of the early unions didn't even use the word union. They'd say benevolent association. And the Knights of Labor eventually fought to the point where they were well organized enough to say, we are the Knights of Labor, and that's what we're about. I think they brought a great deal to this area, including a very wonderful Knights of Labor Hall right down the street here in Shawnee.
So we're here at the top floor of the Knights of Labor building in Shawnee, Ohio, and this is where the meetings took place. The first song that they would sing would be the Storm the Forts.
So yeah.
So we're gonna do that. I'm representing the local 169.
And I'm here to represent the women who were actually still, who did participate in this local, from what I understand. So.
Why should those who fought for freedom wear old slavery's chains? Working men will quickly break them when they use their brains. Storm the forts, ye Knights of Labor, battle for your cause. Equal rights for every neighbor, down with tyrant laws.
Well, I think the Knights of Labor in particular relied on music and ceremony to sustain their efforts and to build unity among their memberships. The Knights of Labor would wear robes and sing lots of ceremonial and labor union songs that inspired them.
John D. Martin opened up a coal mine down along Monday Creek. Folks moved there, they came from everywhere to mine 7 days a week. Talk about prosperity coming to the hills. The people built the mining town of New Straitsville. Every able-bodied man was digging for the coal. They never thought they'd see the day of fire in the hole.
And there's a commonly held belief that the people who set the mines on fire weren't active in the union. They were just angry because they had lost their job over the union situation, and they weren't. They certainly didn't like the mine owners, but they also weren't. They were frustrated by the strike because they wanted to go back to work.
These guys had enough of that. They were ready for action, and they said, "Fine, you want to play the game? We'll play the game." So they sent those cars down, and then they burned the Bristol Tunnel, which cut us off completely. We only had one railroad at that point, and so nothing could come through to Shawnee. I've always been told and always read that actually the Upson mine, which is outside of town here, was the first mine that was fired, which actually isn't in New Straitsville, but that mine was fired at one point. The Double X, which was probably the biggest mine here in Shawnee, was never fired. But what did happen is the number 3 mine at the bottom of the hill in New Straitsville was. And what they was concerned about was that the fire would burn towards Shawnee and eventually break through into the Double X mine. And that did in fact happen about 1907. They broke through a wall and the flames came through. And there's a great postcard of that, showing the flames in the Double X mine that actually had burned over from New Straitsville.
Take me back for when the workers rest. Susie's gonna get married in a hand-me-down dress. Take me back to the patch. Same house, same job. I'm going back to the patch where I know everyone.
What really got us on this was, as we started looking at our history here, we found out all the important things that happened here were never documented or attributed to the communities in the little cities of Black Diamonds or the Hocking Valley. They were attributed to union meetings in Columbus at a hotel, or both the AFL and the United Mineworkers of America claim their birthplace as Columbus, Ohio, but Columbus, Ohio was not a union-oriented town. It was just a central town where people from multiple states would come together to have meetings to make these kind of decisions.
But because those meetings were held at the cave, we always say that that baby was conceived in New Straitsville. They just went to Columbus to deliver it.